The experience of infertility can be tedious and sometimes exasperated. Maybe you're going through an emotional breakdown, loneliness, rejection, or giving up after you've gone through many failed fertility treatments and procedures. You feel unheard and unseen, surrounded by people who don't just get the pain of yearning for a complete family. While trying to conceive, the emotional, physical, and financial sacrifice is intensely overwhelming. There may be roadblocks, detours, and setbacks, but the best things in life are worth the fight. We would love to share in your pain and silence and hear your unanswered questions. Be encouraged, educated, and empowered until you have your bundle of joy in your hands. Join us on Fertility Connect, where hope grows and miracles blossom. Visit our website www.parafamilyfoundation.com and follow us at Parafamily on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We look forward to walking this journey with you. Your testimony is next.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining from. And my name is Isioma Success Ulubenga, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the very first edition, the premier edition of Fertility Connect. Today we have a very, very special person, someone very dear to us at Para Family Foundation, the visionary of Para Family Foundation in the person of Princess Dayo Odukoya. She's the founder of the vision of the Para Family Foundation, and this vision had been birthed over the last 12 years. Incidentally, today is her birthday, and we are excited to have her on the show today. So join me to welcome onto the show the very first edition of the Fertility Connect, our dear visionary founder, Princess Dayo Odukoya. You're welcome, Ma.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you, Isioma.
It's so good to be hosting you at the very first edition of the Fertility Connect. What a way to start this connect on your birthday. Oh, double grace, today, by the grace of God, we are celebrating you at 55. God has been gracious to you. And, what a way to come into a year of double grace, launching out with this great initiative to restore hope, to cause hope to come alive, and miracles to blossom in the lives of families waiting to conceive. We'll just kick off immediately. And I would like to ask you that very big question, that question that just introduces it to all of our audience all over the world. Who is Dayo Odukoya? Can you tell us about Dayo Odukoya in a bit so that we can know who we are talking to, and the story can flow from there?
Thank you, Isioma. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this from. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you. It's indeed a year of double grace for me. My name is Princess Dayo Odukoya, as you have mentioned. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. I've been in the corporate world now for over 30 years, and I just took, an early retirement last year just to follow my passion and to do what, destiny has called me to do. I guess, what else do you want to know? I am married, of course, and blessed with a beautiful daughter. So that's what who Princess Dayo Odukoya is, in summary.
Very well, Ma. Okay. Just to let our audience catch up with what we are talking about. This is a show where we hope all that we are doing on the show is to help families that are waiting to conceive their children or birth their children through the various methods, so many methods of having your children if you so desire, is to bet the right perspective despite the setbacks that they might be going through, despite the pushback that sometimes we face on this journey. It is to help people receive strength and hope, to continue pushing on with their journey, knowing that, delay is not denial, and knowing that their triumph is just away from where they are at the moment. So, want you to sit back. If you know someone, a friend, a family that is waiting to conceive their children, you know them, they've not had their own children for a bit, and they really want to have their children. I would love that you begin to share this, to them, share it to their WhatsApp status, and continue to share until it gets to where it ought to go to. So we'll go right into the next question. How did this all begin, Mrs. Odukoya? How did this all begin? I know you have said, and I also know that you are a chartered accountant. How, from counting figures to all of this? How did all of this? I'm trying for our audience to be able to connect the dots. How did it begin for you? What is the story of the vision of Power? Can you tell us that story and take us through that journey?
Thank you for that question. And it's a question that has been asked. When people listen to me and they feel like, "Are you a doctor?" And all of that.
Yeah.
But when I tell them, "Oh, I'm an accountant," it's like, "So how did you get into this?" So it all started, of course, when I got married. A bit late, of course, at that time. I got married at 31 years old. And we thought, oh, we're going to just get into the baby, industry or baby production industry. But of course, it didn't happen immediately, after we got married. So we started counting years, first year, second year, third year. But it didn't actually get to us until like we were in our third year. We said, oh, boy, we have been on this, we have been in this marriage for 3 years and nothing has happened. What's happening? But of course, we're enjoying our relationship. And we're going to get to that because when you have marry your friend, you enjoy marriage. And, maybe immediately after marriage, it's not about children for you. You just want to enjoy your relationship. So we were on this journey for like 8 years. And of course, I mean, after we thought of, taking steps as to what to do medically, we started praying as child of God or children of God. We started praying and trusting God. And we started consulting. We went for medical, investigation. And I think it was around our sixth year that it was diagnosed, or fourth year thereabout, I was diagnosed that I have like blocked tubes. And at that point, I mean, there are no options really that are, out there for people to take that, to just be using, you kept using drugs. And I can't remember the particular name of that drug that's so, common at that time. And we're on those, drugs for a while and nothing happened until we got to realize fallopian tubes blockage. And then we had to go for HSG. And I want to believe some people, we understand what the pain that you go through when you have to do HSG. So we went through that, and of course, they found out I was youth tuber blockage. Um, this took us to the United Kingdom to have it, open up. But of course, it has become, a obsolete now to true, you know, uh, fallopian tubes. So we went through that surgery and we came back 2, 3 years after nothing happened. And we decided to try another option, which of course we're going to get to. And that, I mean, let me just say we went through IVF, and of course, uh, some trials before we eventually, had a bundle of joy. And yes, how did I get into the business of para and looking for people that want to get pregnant without being a doctor? It was on that hospital bed when I gave birth that God spoke to me that if indeed you have gone through this, you need to hold some people's hands to also go through it and get you know, their miracle. And that was how the issue of para started. And it didn't just start just like that. But of course, the story is still there for me to talk about.
Folding.
But
Yeah.
the
Unfolding.
main reason why I got into this was because God, took me through it, and He told me to start encouraging others that are also in the journey.
So tell us
Yes.
about the very first, how did it all start? Did you just, you said God told you at the hospital bed. So did you just come out of the hospital bed and, you just hit the ground running and started off? What was the process? Or, for especially for people that, maybe they've been through that and, maybe they have something like that, they've had those conversations with God. How did it all begin in the processing of this thing called para? Can you speak about that?
Okay, so I it didn't start until about 2 years after. And just like every other day, I was just sitting in my office, and the Holy Spirit just brought it back into my subconscious. And there's this same lady speaking with, I mean, interviewing me today, was working with me at that time. And obviously, I was not aware that she was also waiting. And then she came calling, getting close, to me and trying to, obviously, she had heard some story about me. And then she wanted to know how I was able to cope during my waiting period, or when I was waiting to have, my baby. So I called her because she was close to me, and I shared what God told me. And I said, I'm not going to start a church. I'm not a pastor, but how I don't know how God wants me or wants me to go about it. So I said, well, I'm going to pray about it, and please join me to pray and see how this we all, be put together. So on a particular day, I asked that within the company, are there people that we know that are waiting that I can talk to, and just talk to them and encourage them. And, we had this meeting. We're about 12, that were gathered in a restaurant, to have lunch and to share to them, with them, to let them know that, well, you may be waiting, you may be passing through this difficult time, but I've gone through it. And this is what God is saying, that I should tell you that if I can go through it, you can also go through it. And that was all the meeting was all about. And I mean, what came out of the meeting was so emotional. We broke down, we cried. Some were even at the verge of moving out of their marriage. And it kind of brought hope to them on that day. And at that particular meeting, a decision was made that no, we have to continue to do this. Like it's kind of, a healing balm on that day to some of them. And that was how para started. And because I'm a corporate person, I don't just do things anyhow. We now, decided to register a name at the CAC as an NGO on that particular day. And we decided that from that day on, we are going to be meeting once every month. And as I speak, we still meet once every month in the past 12 years. And of course, the name Para was agreed, was prayed and agreed upon. And that was how Para started 12 years ago. And just getting stronger by day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love just getting stronger by day, and that's the truth. You know, as you spoke, I just remembered everything. So fresh and so real. But today we want to hear that story from you, because the grace of God has carried you all of this time, and your story is the triumph story that has birthed a lot more other stories that Para has encountered over the years. Yeah. So today, again, you've not said something. We asked, you talked now about how it all started, which also brought us to the name. My next question is, how did the testimonies? We know that when we go to the website, people go to the website, they see things like hundreds of children have been born. How did that? Yes, it's 12 years, but how did that one testimony start that birthed 100 children? What did that? What happened after that first meeting? You started to meet. What happened? What was the next thing? What happened? How did the first child come to life? How did everything just begin from that point? Can you share with us?
Okay. After that meeting, like I said, we decided to continue to meet every month, every third Saturday of the month. We got a venue. And like I said, I don't even know where to start. We don't even know where to start. We don't even know where we're going. But one thing is certain, because it was based on God's instruction. We kept taking a step after the other, a step after the other. We got the name register. Like I said, para means fruitfulness in Hebrew language. In Hebrew language. So we register it as a foundation, and God led me to someone that was so dear to me, a sister at that time, and she's still my sister, as the president of the foundation, and few other people joined as a board of trustees. We have ESCOs, and we started running the foundation right from that moment. And, of course, the vision, the mission, and everything came together, and we started inviting. We have our focus area. Let me start from that we follow for each of the months. We have the medical, we have the spiritual, and we have the family. And if you look at these three focus areas, I mean, you can't have kids, you can't have children if the home is not stable. If you don't have peace in the home, if there's no relationship between couples, relationship, when I mean, as a couple, you have to there has to be togetherness when you are talking about infertility. And of course, spiritual, we know that it's only God that gives life. So we have to pray. And then, of course, the medical aspect of it as well. So we invite doctors, we invite fertility experts to speak to us at our meetings. We invite, during our family meetings, that's when we have the family live. We talk, we're open. And, when you are in the midst of people of like minds, I mean, there's nothing to hide. This is where we open up, and then we come as a couple. We don't come as, oh, it's a woman. We try to make people that come for our meetings to know that it's a couple thing. It's not an individual thing. It's not a blame game, journey. It must be I mean, the two of you must be in it together for you to be able to have, solution. So that's how we've been having the meetings back to back every month. And then, of course, uh, God is in this. God is in this. And we guide, we counsel the couple, and then we introduce them. We have a partner hospital that we work with. We go in there to the hospital to review their processes and be sure that this is people we want to work with. Hospitals with integrity that are, proven over the years. So we work with them and we introduce our members to the hospitals, and they go through their treatments. And with prayers and trust in God, we have testimonies upon testimonies. The first baby, came just before the first year, shortly after the first year anniversary of Para Family Foundation. And ever since then, we've been having twins, we have triplets, we have quadruplets as children born into the foundation. And God has been faithful.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Our question, another question to you. You know, many people, when they go through delay, a lot of people begin to think maybe they did something wrong, maybe something that they did in their past that is catching up with them and all of that. So, when you were going through those challenges, did you ever think that maybe God was angry with you? What was your what how did you how did you really look at these challenges? How did you view them? Did you see them like maybe it was how did you really go through that time, 8 years? How was it for you?
Well, like I said initially, one thing I would tell the single ladies out there, or people, trying to get married, be sure you marry your friend. I mean, infertility is not something you look forward to when you are getting married. Nobody planned for it. Nobody planned for it. So when you get into it and you see yourself being alone, the husband is not there to support you, the families are back, both left and right, you lose it at that point. But where you marry your friend and your family members are not putting pressure on you, neither from the in-law or from your family, you go through it as if, until we find solution to it. It's not my problem. I didn't plan for this. Neither did my husband plan for it. We all expecting that after marriage we'll get pregnant and give birth. But yes, it didn't come. And I want to tell you today, even when both of us are talking or are counseling people, those are the best honeymoons that we had. 8 years of honeymoon. We traveled a lot, we do things a lot, and together we never felt that something is actually missing, but yet we kept trying to get it sorted out. Even if you have done something, God is merciful. As long as you are a child of God and you are able to, just be playing with God, be like a child with God, and bring it to the table with God, even if you have done anything. But like I said, nobody planned to be childless going into marriage. But once you find yourself in that situation, don't give up on yourself. Don't blame yourself. Seek solution. And that is what it is.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. Did you think that your faith was stretched to the limits? Were there breaking point time? Were there times that you felt, well, I can't do this anymore. This is too much for me. Even in the midst of being married to your friend and not having all of that pressure, did you have that feeling? And how did you go through it?
Okay, I would say that I can't really remember because even in church, they hardly can say that. Yes, they don't see us bringing children to church, but
Yeah.
they hardly can notice that these people are, looking downcast or they are not happy. Even in my place of work, people were shocked when they announced that I gave birth because they thought I have children. So you just need to make yourself, happy, do what makes you happy, be involved in activities that can, give you joy, and then go apart from, having your family support and your husband or your spouse support, do things that will make you also happy. that is within God's, will. So I
Great.
didn't, I mean, my faith was never shaken. And like I said, I went through it because I have somebody by myself and I have God with me.
Great. Great. Did you have to go through any major lifestyle changes before conception happened, or before you went through your treatment? Did you have to um, go through any major lifestyle changes that was necessary for the treatments that you were having at the time to occur well?
I would say not really. All these lifestyle changes started about, let me just put it, maybe like a decade ago. That, oh, you have to be slim, oh, you have to be on keto, you have to be, all of that was not, in place those days. But of course, really, I didn't really do anything much when it comes to changing maybe my diet, or I was obese, or I need to reduce, my weight or whatever. I don't think I went through all that. But because of things that we eat now and the kind of stress that we go through now, the environment, pollution and what have you, that is why now we are preaching lifestyle changes. But then I guess, things were pretty much okay, and you don't have to go through all that, when I went through the treatment.
Okay. You're talking about IVF, it's something that you've mentioned well while we spoke earlier in answering your questions. We want to ask lifestyle for the IVF treatments. A lot of people feel or are unable to go through IVF treatment because they believe that, they've heard, of course, they've heard that, is not, it doesn't, it's not automatic. You could have failed cycles and all of that. When people have failed cycles, how should they deal with it? Tell us, based on your own story and many stories that you have heard from people within the para support system. How should people go about the stress and the anxiety of a failed cycle, and even the thought of even going through that treatment, when you know that it might fail, it might not fail, it's a chance based situation? How should people approach it, and how should they also approach it before they go into it? And then if they have a failed cycle, how should they approach it?
Okay, so I mean, going through IVF on its own is kind of stressful because of the injections. You have to inject yourself at some point. If you can't go to the hospital every day, you have to. And then the 2 weeks waiting period as well is a lot of stress and anxiety on people. But yes, like I said, I went through it a number of times too before I eventually had success. But I guess two ways. If before the 2 weeks ends, you have like bleeding or whatever, maybe it might not be that painful. You probably feel, oh, you've lost money and all of that. But if after the 2 weeks they've confirmed and you are in the midst of the first trimester and something happened, which happened to me along the line, I tell you that can be so devastating. And in the course of counseling and the support, giving support to people and families that are going through this, um, two things before they go into it. You kind of let them know that IVF is not 100%. So you set their mind to at that, and you encourage them to go into it irrespective, because it's better to start than to just stay without doing anything. So you encourage them to go into it, and once they go into it, of course, with prayers, we know that everything depends on God. Even the doctor will tell you they have done their own bits. They will leave every other thing to God. God is the giver of life. So if you have those kind of mindsets before you go into it, you will not give up easily. because you know this is a God factor after all. The doctors will check everything. In fact, at the point they will tell you, oh, everything is fantastic. Your egg is fantastic. Your womb is fantastic. You know, your husband's sperm. In fact, I don't know why you're not getting pregnant, but with this IVF, you should have success. And 2 weeks after, they tell you, oh, we're sorry, it's negative. Or you do your own test, it's negative. That can even kill you before you even get to the hospital. So the mindset, let me summarize it. Work on your mind before you go to IVF. Know that it's not 100% and know that it is God factor that will play the major role in it. And whatever the outcome is, don't give up. Keep trying because it will end in praise.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ma. Did you consider adoption? Did you consider other options? Aside from the medical treatments when you were going through your treatment, was it something that did you consider quitting your job? I've heard people that just feel like this thing is getting too much. Maybe, I actually, yeah, thank God you talked about it. Someone actually mentioned to me once, one of my neighbors, and she said, maybe I should consider quitting my job because I may be stressing too much. It may be because,
Mm.
I was always on the run, always in one thing or the other. She's like, maybe I'm stressed. Maybe if I quit my job, I would get pregnant. So did did you have such suggestions, or did you consider it, and other options that you considered? Yeah.
Well, at that time, adoption was not on the radar for us. And adoption is like the last resort because we have different options available. If you are young, you can still try IUI. If everything is okay, maybe just the sperm cannot swim very well. And then, of course, if that didn't work, you're going to IVF. From IVF, you're going to surrogacy. And then adoption is the last resort. And of course, when age is still on your side, you can still continue to try the other options apart from adoption. But if you are going, older and you feel time is no, I mean, age is no longer on your side and you both agree as a couple, why not? You can go for adoption. But during my time, adoption was not an option for us at that time because we were trying this and we know, I mean, based on the medical report that yes, this will work for us. So we didn't try adoption. But in our foundation, we do preach adoption. And rather than waiting and waiting and waiting, why not put into it? And adoption is another ball game entirely because it has its own stress as well. But having said that, I will not advise if you're medically fit before going into IVF, I will not advise you quit your job. I didn't quit my job. In fact, the doctor told me that immediately after the procedure, I can go home. I can go to the office, immediately after the procedure. And some people do that after 2 hours of rest, you can go to your office if you are medically fit. Raising up your leg or doing all sorts after the procedure does not mean it can be negative after all. So my advice is, well, if you are medically fit, you can go back to work even second day or same day. If you have to go to work, I've seen even recently one or two members that quit their job. They asked me, and I said, no, you don't have to quit your job, but they still went ahead and did. And of course, the procedure came out negative. And of course, they will still come back crying, to say, it didn't work. But then they have quit their job, the IVF didn't work. So if you are medically fit, I think you should continue with just take things easy for the
Easy.
period that the pregnancy will be stable. Thank
Great,
you.
great, great. What would you say to people, singles above 30, in terms of clocking 30 into the 30s in terms of their awareness of their fertility status? What would you say to singles, older singles that are, they hope to get married and it's not happening yet? What would you say to them in being aware of their fertility status and taking precautions?
You just, this is something that is here for me right now. Having worked with families that are on this journey for 12 years and seeing our youth on the streets, the way and manner, they go about relationships, the way and manner, it can is a burden right now for me as a person because we may have infertility pandemic if we are not careful with our youth. And just for me to just go straight into your into your question so that I won't deviate to what plan para have for those. I can talk about it later, but I would advise if you are a if you are between the ages of 25, 30, what of course we still need to confirm is if can a virgin freeze their egg, because they still have to go in to bring out the egg before they can freeze. And that is my advice for younger ladies, because you are not if you are not ready for marriage and you're about 30, I would advise that you go to any of the fertility centers that have uh, frozen embryo procedure or system in place and freeze your egg waiting until after your marriage. Because what we found out is your age and your egg are the same thing. If you are age 35 or 40 or 45, your egg is the same age with you. And the you can imagine the viability of a 25-year-old egg compared to a 45-year-old egg. And that is why when you get into any fertility center, they want to do IVF for you. If you are 40, even from 35, they will advise you to use donor egg, just that they can have a positive result. So for everyone, every lady out there that is not going to get married before 35, I would advise that you freeze your egg in readiness for if you get married at 40 and you have natural conception, good enough. But if you start to wait 1 year, 2 years, your egg is there, embryo, your egg is there. It can be used to fertilize your husband's sperm and then have IVF done. In fact, I've seen young ladies that will say, I don't even want to go through that, just take my egg and my sperm and just let me have IVF done. So that's an option for ladies that are still under 35. From 30 upward and not married, go to any fertility hospital to have your egg frozen for after marriage usage.
Tell us a little about this frozen egg. Just listening to you, someone that does also understand wonder: is it? Do you take it? Do they put it in a freezer of some kind? Is it something that you just pick out of? How does it? How do you go about it? And then, for singles that want to do that, what would be, is this something that they can do easily? How long can the egg be frozen for, how many years, and all of that? Can you just give us a brief tip on that?
Okay, so like I said, if you are above 30 and you don't have any plan for marriage now, I would advise you visit any fertility center that has the facility for it, and they will freeze your egg. Your egg is what you shed every month in menstruation. and that is what becomes, that is what is fertilized with sperm to become, pregnancy or a child. So is that egg that they will bring out from your ovaries or ovary and fertilize, sorry, and freeze. There is a system, they have the facility in the center, and it can last 100 years as long as you can pay for it, because you have to pay for keeping it with the facility center. So I think they charge per year, some charge per quarter, some charge per year, so that you can have it when you are ready to have your children. And they will use it to fertilize your husband's sperm when you eventually get married, if there is a delay in childbearing.
What would you consider this entire, because our time is fast spent. I'm hoping that we can bring you back to the show, because there's so much we're learning from everything you're saying. I imagine a lot of people are already learning and jotting and taking notes. Sometimes when we have to have Mr. Dukoya speak, it's as if we just want her to go to medical school, let her just collect the certificate, and then
That's my next. That's my
your
next.
next mission.
Yes.
All right, no problems. Yeah, so we want you to please shed more light on for people that are kind of wondering if they have they have a promise from God. They are waiting for God to for Christians that are genuinely believe they genuinely believe that God is coming through for them. They might have even received a word. How do we is God against science and the act of doing IVF? How should they really on can you speak a word to that? You're a Christian, you're a believer. I know that many Christians sometimes have missed it between. Some people say they are helping God if they do IVF. Can you speak to that, ma'am?
The doctor will tell me then that he's done his own. God be with you. That's exact words that he will use. God be with you. And it shows that eventually, even after all the medicine, it's still God. He's the giver of life. I've not seen where any hospital that you go to and they tell you, oh, IVF is 100%. It's got factor that's round up everything. So for those that are believers, yes, it's still God that, and God is not. God is the. He said God is the giver of wisdom. God is the one, just like you will use Panadol and you believe that it will relieve you of headache. It's the same thing. God gave, doctors, medical, practitioners, science, wisdom to bring IVF. I mean, the first IVF baby is 45 years this year, 45-year-old this year, and it was science. Then when it happened, then in 19, I think 78, they thought it can never happen. How many IVF babies do we have today all over the world? And you still feel this is not God. So IVF is about God. It's God option. If the way is blocked, and there's another way you can take, would you rather not take that way or stay in that one way that you had that will not lead you anywhere? That is IVF. So it's an option that God has given as a way out if you have a blockage, fallopian tube blockage. Something has blocked it in the course of maybe lifestyle, maybe infection and all of that, and the tube is damaged. God is saying, I can do this outside of your body and bring it back into your womb. That is what IVF is all about. So God is not against it. It's God idea given to men, just like the plane we enter. I mean, we bought the plane. Do you know what will happen while you are in the air? On here. So we need to embrace it. As men that have not embraced it, we need to embrace it and get out of infertility uh, 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 problem or challenges.
Do you consider this a life assignment, ma?
I've started it, and it's obvious that it's an assignment for me in the last 12 years. And I think I've come to a place to resign myself and to say, you know what, um, this is where God wants me to be at this time. And with all my heart into it, I put all my heart into it. I enjoy doing it. I don't get tired of talking about it. So this is an assignment for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Para has a lot of expressions. Can you tell us about them? I know that a couple of other expressions that para, this is one out of many. Can you tell us about them? The ones that we know and the ones that, are on the way.
Yeah. God doesn't stop with you. He keeps chunking it out. And yes, Para started as an NGO, and we spoke about the youth some few minutes ago. There is an initiative called Youth Fertility Awareness Initiative. Wi-Fi is actually a youth initiative to go out there and let the youth know what they need to do. It's going to be like uh, it's an educational aspect of the counseling seminars and what have you for the youth, to let them know that things they ought to do and things they ought not to do before they get into marriage, because it can eventually lead to infertility. So we have that, and we have the movie aspect of it. Para is coming up with a movie. We're working on that as well, to let the world also see in a movie form how people go through infertility and now they come out of it. And of course, Fertility Connect is another initiative. We're going to be having, I'm going to be hosting people that have gone through it. We're going to be hosting doctors, medical practitioners, lifestyle family life, lifestyle changes, coaches, and what have you, just to bring the information out there to people to listen to and to have knowledge about what to do going forward. I think that is where we are right now for Para, and we just take it as it comes, and
I'm
work
not
with
sure you
Para.
spoke. Yeah, did you speak about the conference, ma?
Wow, the fifth edition of Para Fertility Conference. Wow, we've had the first edition. This is the ABC of fertility. We have the second edition where we spoke about the pathway to fertility. The third edition was when we wanted to bring in Louis Brown, the first IVF baby, in 2020, but the COVID set in. But we had it, of course, in 2021. And of course, we have last year. It was so glorious. This year, fifth edition of its kind is coming up June 24th, 2023, with the theme Navigating Infertility in the 21st Century. We're going to be having 5 wonderful speakers at the conference. You don't want to miss it. Just register for it. Go to our website and register for it. It's going to be wow this year. Don't miss it. And tell anyone that you know that are still waiting, that are facing this challenge, to register for it. Thank
One
you.
last word, ma, as we round up this show.
Wow. Fertility is shouldn't be a blame game in the family. A lot of couples are fighting and blaming each other. It's not a blame game. And if I've not waited, I won't be on this show today.
Yeah.
Know that there's a purpose for your waiting. Settle in as a couple, take the challenge on, seek solution, and of course, you will share your own testimony too.
Amazing.
That's what I have to
Amazing.
say.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you for
Thank you
coming on
for
the
having
show.
me.
Yeah,
Thank
we are
you.
grateful for your time. And once again, from Para Family Foundation, we love you and we wish
Thank
you an
you.
amazing year of double grace. And to
Thank
all of
you.
our viewers, we want you to know that Fertility Connect is here to stay. We are here to serve you in the next show, starting from the month of May. Uh, Mrs. Odukoya will be a host on the show, and she'll be joined by other some of other of our team members on the show. And we are set to, just wow you. It's going to be an amazing time on Fertility Connect. So much education, so many things, and we believe that this is from Nigeria to the world. Para is God's light to the world to help everyone that is going through a dark time, waiting to conceive their children or going through a tough fertility journey to receive hope and be restored in their strength as they go. Once again, we want to say thank you for tuning in. We
Thank you.
love you. Para loves you. And Mrs. Odukoya loves you too. So watch out for the next show. Thank you, Ma. And from
Thank
us
you for
here
having
in
me.
the studio, we want to wish you a
Bye.
wonderful, wonderful time. Bye bye. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.
The experience of infertility can be tedious and sometimes exasperated. Maybe you're going through an emotional breakdown, loneliness, rejection, or giving up after you've gone through many failed fertility treatments and procedures. You feel unheard and unseen, surrounded by people who don't just get the pain of yearning for a complete family. While trying to conceive, the emotional, physical, and financial sacrifice is intensely overwhelming. There may be roadblocks, detours, and setbacks, but the best things in life are worth the fight. We would love to share in your pain and silence and hear your unanswered questions. Be encouraged, educated, and empowered until you have your bundle of joy in your hands. Join us on Fertility Connect, where hope grows and miracles blossom. Visit our website www.parafamilyfoundation.com and follow us at Parafamily on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We look forward to walking this journey with you. Your testimony is next.